14 minutes to 9 is the time. One of the main stories we're following this morning is that millions of people around the world are expected to take part in what could be the largest ever climate change protest today. More than 5,000 demonstrations are planned in more than 150 countries.
Many will involve young people, possibly staying away from school, university, maybe work as well. Andrew Webster is the head teacher of Parkview School in Tottenham. Very pleased we can speak to him this morning. I assume just as your pupils be arriving this morning, do you have a plan, a principle as to what rules apply if they choose to stay out of school and take part in the protests?
Good morning. Yes, we have a very clear plan at Parkview School. I think it goes without saying that schools have a duty to educate our children in important global issues, of which this is undeniably one. That said, schools also have a duty of care for our children. And I think sometimes trying to find that balance can be quite tricky. So at Parkview, what I have done is organised a programme of rallies and protests within school, which the school will publicise well, really focusing on these important climate issues. But what I cannot do is authorise my children, my pupils, to be at rallies in town in London where I cannot control their safety. Now, obviously, if parents choose to accompany their children to those things, that's their prerogative. But from a school perspective, the safeguarding of their children is a priority, and that's why we will not authorise those absences.
So that becomes a technical issue for which they would be reported. It would be noted and passed on.
I think as long as the attendance of the children is really strong and there are no ongoing issues, this wouldn't necessarily have any particular big impact. And I do understand that some parents are really, really keen, and we're really keen that this important global issue is recognised. But as I say, we are doing things in school at Parkview, which, to really raise the profile, and we'll do everything we can to publicise that. But I must maintain the safety of our children.
Yeah, and people will absolutely understand that. It's a tricky situation in a way, because you're clearly interested in educating your pupils, and this is part of a wider education, isn't it? And I guess the same principles possibly may apply to teachers too, who might have very strong views on these issues, and like other workplaces, maybe want to be at protests but need to be at work. Those are the same issues in a way.
I think so. I think employers do need to be understanding and sensitive to what are key global issues, but this is a protest. I think if it was sanctioned entirely, then that really wouldn't have the effect that people are looking for. But back to that point, I do believe deeply that schools must be educating our children on issues such as this. And if we're not doing that, then the schools are not doing their job properly, but within a safe environment. And that is exactly what we are trying to do at Parkview School.
Andrew, thank you for your time this morning. That's Andrew Webster, who's head teacher of Parkview School in Tottenham, just waiting.